A very good morning, and it's a privilege to be here and connect with each one of you. Thank you for the introduction. After an introduction like that, I can't wait to hear myself. Yeah. I wish all of it was true. Yeah. You heard of this group of people who wanted to visit a factory, soap factory. So they searched for it. They came to that little town where the soap factory was there, and the shift in the factory was over. They were coming out, and they suddenly saw these people walking out. They met them, they interviewed them. But they noticed one thing. They said, hey, many of you have nice clothes, but they look a little dirty. What happened? You know, you are working in a soap factory. They said, we only supply, we don't apply. Sometimes that can be our story even as believers. That I am here to preach, that we are here to give. It's not for me, not for us. And that is a dangerous situation for all of us. And therefore, we need the grace of God to know that it is primarily for me to apply, and for all of us to apply, to receive and to apply. We live in a very fast-changing world. Isn't that true? Morning, you look at the headlines. Afternoon, you look at the headlines again, and major things have happened. And there was a time when maybe we didn't have the information technology, or it wasn't that fast moving. And some of us may remember The World This Week, that program which used to come on Doordarshan once a week on Fridays. And nothing much would have happened. Maybe once a week you could watch and say, oh, okay, this happened. But we are on a fast-paced world. Isn't that true? All over the world, in every corner of the world. Ukraine, Russia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, US, Israel, and Iran, and in our own country, we are in a fast-moving world. And, my mother had told me about, in 1939 or 40, that she had gone to SIBS, South India Biblical Seminary in Bangalore, just for a month as a college student. Just finished college, she had gone there. And the professor in Old Testament apparently taught them, and she said, Israel will come back and form a nation. And she said, all of us giggled because we knew it was not possible. And she said her neighbor turned to her and said, if this happens, I will believe. May 14, 1948. It happened, isn't that true? Isaiah 66 and verse 8 says, who has heard such a thing? Who has seen such things? Shall a land be born in a day? Shall a nation be brought forth in one moment? And it is the fruition of prophecies again and again and again and again that is happening. And we look back and we see that the fig tree has blossomed, and the instruction is not to be scared, but to look up, for our redemption is near. But also to recognize that we are in a world that is very temporary, that what is given to us, what we are stewards of, is very precious, that will not be with us for long. And therefore, it is the imperative. It is an imperative in the imperative sense that we have been given this, that we have to be stewards. Oh Lord, give us grace, wisdom to use every opportunity, every time, every provision, everything that is given to us. Even this church is a gift. And may God continue to bless and use and glorify His own name. It cannot be business as usual. Isn't that true? When we look around and say, no, it cannot be business as usual. Time is not on our side. And therefore, Lord, may we receive grace to be on our knees, to seek your will. And thank you for those lovely songs that you sang. To seek is our part. No, to ask, seek, knock, increasing intensity, and may that be done. Want to caption today's meditation as don't be afraid, only believe. Don't be afraid, only believe. You know the background. And the Gospels portray Jesus in so many different ways. Isn't that true? Matthew, he portrays Jesus as the King of the Jews, the King. And Mark as the servant. Luke, yes, as the Son of Man. And John as the Son of God. The Word. And totally different perspective. But Mark is in a fast-paced pace. Isn't that true? Right through. You know, have you heard of the teacher who asked the class, write a 4-page essay on milk and bring it back to me? And in 15 minutes, one boy stood up and he came with the answer paper. And it was just half a page. He said, I told you 4 pages. I said, no, ma'am, I have written on condensed milk. Yeah. It is truly condensed, Mark. It's fast-paced. It's a good beginning point if we have to recommend a gospel to someone who's new. And here he is. What does it start with? Mark chapter 4. And remember, the chapters came almost 600 years after it was all written. So it is artificial, but it's very helpful. Imagine not having chapters and verses. And imagine trying to quote. And all of us turning to that. It would be next to impossible. But it was very helpful that we received the chapters and the verses. But it may not be, it is not inspired. So that is something to remember. It is helpful and we receive it with gratitude. So Mark chapter 4, it is the wind and the waves. Chapter 4, verse 38. The question that is asked, and sometimes it crosses our minds too. What is that question? Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? What a question. Don't you care that we are perishing? He knows that it is, they know that they are all in the same boat. And do you not care that we are all perishing? And Jesus speaks the sea language. And he awoke and he rebuked the wind and the sea and said, peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was great calm. In verse 39, in Kannada it is Summaniru more beda. Shantrah, Thamja. Wonder what it sounded like in the guttural language, the Aramaic that they used. We all go through our storms, don't we? So different for each one of us, each family, each person. It is so different, so unique. But it has the signature of God. God has allowed it. Sometimes it happens because of our mistakes. But even that can be woven into the grand pattern when we submit. And it is all there. Some of you have been through storms. You've just come out. Or you may be right now in a storm. Storm that others know about, or storms that you cannot share with others. Or maybe you are headed into a storm. It happens. Not trying to scare you, but then we live in a broken world, don't we? And we are broken too. And it is filled with storms, but it has the signature of God and a permission of God. And therefore, Lord, underneath are the everlasting arms. And that is the bottom line, and we can trust in that. That's something that we can acknowledge together. There is, we'll go to the next slide. There is a place called accident. Imagine what will be written in, if there is an accident in accident, isn't it? Small town apparently. And in one of it's a US town. And the disciples would have said, hey, this is, it is, look at what has happened. How can it be true? Jesus has sent us, and we have started following him. It should have been smooth. In fact, when we get into the boat, whatever waves are there, they should quieten down, and that's what we expect when we follow Christ. But no, it is a sudden, unexpected storm which has tossed them. And they are in trouble. They are in deep trouble. The big fishermen were shivering. They could have said, oh, we know every inch of this lake, big lake. And they called it a Sea of Galilee, freshwater sea, which is below the level of the sea level. And therefore, whenever there is a gale which is hit, it apparently takes some time for it to vanish, and it can be very, very turbulent and dangerous. We'll go to the next slide. It is Mark chapter 4. Yes, shall we read that together? He said to his disciples, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? They were terrified and asked each other, who is this? Even the wind and the waves, they obey him. That was the final outcome when he speaks to the wind and the waves, and they suddenly quieten. How come? How come? Because he was the creator. He is the creator God. He created, he made. Isn't that true? He made the wind and the waves. And soon after that, they come to this other situation where man's efforts have failed in Mark 5. And which verse says that human effort had failed? Says, no one had the strength to subdue him. Obviously, many people had tried. Maybe committees had been formed to control him. And they tried, they came back bruised, probably, beaten up. So, maybe in that town you would find a black-eyed person coming through and say, oh, you also tried? Nobody could. Nobody could. Where strength had failed. And does that happen? We have put in all our efforts. Everything is done. It can happen in our personal lives, in our families, together as a fellowship in our town, in our city. We have done everything. Impossibilities. But man's impossibilities are God's possibilities. That's where he begins. When we look at our own country and look at the things which are happening in state after state after state, where people, every week, new stories, and many of them under the radar. And we thank God for the freedom that we have. About more than 800 of, pastors who have been arrested. Many of them have been released. They have to run up and down, spend money, go to courts, just for worshiping together, just for praying together. And violent mobs which come and attack, and followed by the law enforcers who should be protecting the victims. But no, it's the other way. And it's happening as we speak. And it seems beyond anything that can be done. But we need to say, oh Lord, give us grace, give us wisdom. We want to submit, but we want to obey. We don't want to be afraid. And here, there is an impossibility. At the end of their tether, his tether too, maybe when he would be sane in between, he would yearn for getting out of that bondage. But it was not possible. He would cut himself with stones. It was the demonic spirit. And Mark 5:8, we'll read that together. For he said to him, come out of the man, you unclean spirit. The one who spoke the sea language also knew the demon's language. Again, demons are the fallen spirits, created beings, and they believe God and they shudder according to the word of God. And here Jesus speaks that language. There is authority, isn't it, over the physical world, the created world, and now over the spiritual world. It is absolutely clear. Come out, unclean spirit. In Acts 19, there is a very funny story. The sons of Sceva, they are there, they are casting out demons. They are probably using Jesus and Paul, all those names. And suddenly, they get beaten up very badly. They are bruised, they are bleeding. They run out naked. They are told, Jesus we know. We know better than you. Even Paul we know because he is a follower of Jesus. But who are you? And great fear came upon the people of that town, it says. Yes, soon after that, there is no time, isn't it, in Mark? There is no pause. There is no Selah in between. One mingles, one goes on with the next. And Jairus is there. Who is Jairus? And he is a synagogue ruler. And he probably had heard that Jesus had come. And being a synagogue ruler in Capernaum, he would have seen, because Jesus had preached there. Jesus had attended that. And there were many things which had happened around that place. They had seen firsthand. So he knew. And initially probably he had resisted that suggestion. We do not know. And there he is. And his little beloved daughter, she is dying. We do not know what the diagnosis was. And slowly slipping away, her life was ebbing away. And here, somebody must have said, the master has come. And he runs. He goes. What does he do? The big man, the most respected probably in town. What does it say? Verse 22, it says in chapter 5, then came one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and seeing him, he fell at his feet. Fell at his feet. And what a situation. And he says, my daughter is dying. Please come, Lord. It is a code blue situation. There is not enough time, Lord. Please come. And the Lord willingly goes. And there is a big crowd too, isn't it? Oh, there is going to be some fun today. He is actually going to heal our synagogue ruler's daughter. Come, come, come. Maybe the crowd becomes bigger. WhatsApp message has gone around and more people have joined. And there is a big gathering. And this man is probably leading the show. He is taking the Lord to his home, to his little beloved daughter. That is when the woman with the bleeding issue, 12 years that she had suffered, and she probably had already become very anemic and weak, and there was nothing for her to lose, absolutely nothing for her to lose. And she said, I am going to touch the end of his garment, supposed to be staying out of all crowds. And if discovered, she could be in trouble. But then she said, I have got nothing to lose. I am going to sneak in. And lot of people are there pushing, falling all over Christ. Isn't that true? What a picture. People crowding, falling over him, pushing him, trying to listen, trying to, just out of curiosity or whatever, they are there. So we can be pushers, but there was one toucher. What a beautiful situation to be someone who touches Christ with expectation. It can be the routine. Everybody is there. I'm also there. Or, Lord, I am desperate. I know that there can be no other than you, and I want to reach out to touch you, Lord. I'm not here to please everyone. I don't want to march to the band that is played in this world. I want to follow you. I want to come. I want to touch you. I'm not worthy to do that. Just the hem of your garment. John the Baptist said, I am not worthy to untie the straps of his sandals. I'm not worthy, but I'll just touch her and I'll slip away. Nobody will know. Even the Lord will not know. She had a plan, but she had faith. And there she is. We'll read that together. Immediately, Jesus, perceiving in himself that the power had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and said, who touched my clothes? Who touched? Can you imagine the situation? Who touched me? Lord, are you all right? And the disciples would have had puzzled looks. A couple of them would have looked at each other and said, Appome sonne. There is something wrong here. Lord, what are you saying? People are falling all over you, and you're saying, who touched you? Just look around. All of us are. They are all over you. And meanwhile, Jairus is looking at his watch and saying, Lord, Lord, there is an interruption. And sometimes interruptions are God's messengers too. We don't realize it at times. Oh Lord, that delay, was it authored by you? And it was a great opportunity for Jairus to strengthen his faith. And there he is. Who touched me? And this lady comes trembling and falls at the feet of Christ. Dear sisters, dear brothers, feet of Christ, it's a beautiful place. It's a great equalizer. The big ruler was at his feet. The demon-possessed, when healed, was at the feet of Christ. And here this woman, probably from a lowly situation, she had finished off all, economically devastated and out of the society, not useful in one sense, she was at the feet of Christ. Great equalizer. And what a privilege it is to come to his feet this morning, to be at his feet. And there was something called the Azusa Street Revival, very well known in history. It was in Los Angeles in 1906. And those were the days of strict segregation, racial segregation. And when the revival broke up, there was one preacher. He was the son of a freed slave, a black preacher called William Seymour. And suddenly there was a move of the Spirit of God. People would come and they were being healed, touched. People were following Christ. They would come. Suddenly, that place was absolutely full. It would spill over outside, and some of the newspapers wrote that improper things were being done in that place. Why? Because segregation was not proper. Can you imagine? But the feet of Christ is a great equalizer. And they found out that all races, Asians and Hispanics and blacks and whites, and they were all on the floor crying out for mercy. And here Jairus had come to the right place. His address was right. Psalm 121, verses 1 and 2. We will read that together. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. From that place. Jairus knew that. He came to that place. And as they are moving away from that situation, delegation comes from the synagogue and saying, no problem, no point, boss, over. Did they show such signs? Or did they say, over, story is over, she stopped breathing. It's some time now. Don't trouble the master, come, let's go. And Jairus could have, really? Should we still trouble the master? You're welcome to trouble the master, isn't it? We don't sometimes trouble him often enough. He can take it. And the mourners had filled the house. These people had come. And what does Jesus say? Don't be afraid, only believe. It is a present continuous term that he used. Continue to believe. Only believe. It is not belief and something else. A little bit of doubt, little bit of no, only believe. Don't be afraid. And he goes with him. The mourners had filled the room. In fact, I remember going for a D&B exam to Calcutta Medical College, one of the oldest medical colleges in our country. And there was a notice which was put up which said DNB surgery exams held in the morning room. Historic, because during that period, a lot of cholera deaths and other deaths, and people would moan, roll on the ground, and it would be great. They couldn't work, so they would be told, go to that room. There is a morning hall. Go to the morning room. So they have retained the old plaque and the name, the morning room. We can't escape from the morning room while in this world. And here, those people are called in, and professional ones are there. And they go from mourning and crying to immediately laughing and mocking. So obviously it did not really matter much to them, isn't it? When they heard Jesus say, no, she's sleeping. He said, what? Don't we know? We are the professionals. We are called for every funeral. We know. We don't have to be told. And Jesus drives them out in one sense. All of you, stay out. And the three disciples, father and mother, are inside. Verse 41, very dramatic. Shall we read that together? And he took the damsel by the hand and said to her, Talitha kumi, which is being interpreted, damsel, I say to you, arise. And there was the one who had the authority over life and death. He is the one who said in the Gospel of John, I lay down my life and I have authority to lay it down and to take it up again. There are at least 3 such instances, isn't it, where his authority over life, authority over death was displayed. First was the widow's son. Which town? Nain. Yeah. They were coming out and the bias is stopped. It is stopped. And Jesus said, don't weep. It's very easy to say, don't cry. It's okay. It's okay. No, it's not okay. When we say that, it's very hollow. But Jesus has authority to say, it's okay. Don't weep. And he says, the young man, get up. And it happened also in Bethany. Isn't that true? John 11. And he said, Lazarus, in a loud voice he said, Lazarus, come out. I remember, one of the families that we know, the son had, in the Sunday school they asked him, what did Jesus say at the tomb of Lazarus? He had suddenly forgotten. He said, he went in and said, Lazarus, get out. Yeah. Lazarus, come out. 4 days, and he comes out. Absolute authority. So much so that he became a tourist attraction. In the next chapter, in 12th chapter, they say, hey, no point. The whole world is going after him now. It's not enough to kill him. We have to kill Lazarus also. And authority over the physical world, the created world, the demonic world, the spiritual world, authority over disease, authority over death. There was no questioning. Chapter 4 finishes with that question. Who could this be? Who is this man? Wind and the waves, they obey him. There is no answer there. But it unfolds in the next chapter. Absolute authority displayed. And the answer was, we will finish with that instruction of Jesus, which said, do not be afraid, only believe. Do not be afraid, only believe. He is the one who has all authority. Because he's the one who said, all authority on earth is given to me. Is given to me. And don't be afraid, only believe. Lord, but this, but that, no. He says, don't be afraid, only believe. And Lord, this morning we want to just acknowledge your authority, absolute authority, absolute authority. We come to the great equalizer, the place that is the feet of Christ. And we acknowledge that interruptions and delays, they have the signature of God. Lord, let that be so. Why trouble the teacher? No, Lord, you can take it. I am desperate. I want to come to you. Nature, demons, disease, death, all authority is given to me in heaven and on earth. What a privilege to come to him. Shall we bow down? And the Lord hears our whispers, our tears, our prayers. Even the prayers which were not vocalized were heard by him. Hannah's voice wouldn't come out, but the Lord heard. Lord, we recognize, we acknowledge that you have all authority. Authority over the storms, unexpected ones. Authority over disease, over the spiritual world, over life and death. And therefore, we submit, we commit. We glorify you, we want to worship you. We want to look to you and to not to anyone else. Accept our worship. We want to only believe. Thank you because it's your command, not your suggestion. But when it is your command, you give us strength to do that and grace to do that. Our hearts are filled with gratitude. Continue to speak and touch. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.